What it do? It's one of them subjects. One of them subjects to Kemetics. Them Hebrew Israelites. Hebrew Israelites and them Kemetics. They try to avoid. So we right back at you. We're going to lock in on the Catechetical schools of Alexandria. How many of you knew that the first, how can I put it, theological schools in the world was in Kemet? I'm sure the Kemetics thought they built them schools. But no. It ain't quite like what you think. See? Oh, yeah. They had libraries. The Ptolemies built the museum. But what would happen in the first century was beyond the understanding of any ancient Kemetic knowledge. Now, currently, you know, the Sodnuttus network, then it came out with another one of them integrationist Kemetics. Oh, he just having a ball beating up them same old sorry ass Hebrews. For the entire time on YouTube, they gonna avoid the preterists. Because see, we not fooled. We not waiting on the Jesus. We don't believe Jesus is white. We not blind to history. Oh no. That ain't how we get down. And I definitely know that Jabari don't want to see William Bell. And he not about to deal with pit bulls in the first century Kemet. Can we go there? Can we talk about that? So let me read you a little bit of narrative. Let's lay some leather and wood down on the wood grain. I heard that the conscious community is getting kind of thin. Them new booty channels ain't working out, huh? Y'all starting to get tired of that dumb shit. I'm over here just chilling, putting it in, getting it in. But tonight, we're going to give you a little bit of something. So let me read a little bit. Long before the establishment of Christianity in Alexandria, Kemet, what they call Egypt, the province in the first century known as Africa, the city was famous for its various schools, and by far the largest school of all was the museum, which was founded by Ptolemy and became the most famous school in the East. Its huge libraries contain between 200 and 2,000 and a half million books and manuscripts in the days of Ptolemy I. In addition to the Serapeum and the numerous Jewish schools which scattered everywhere. In other words, Alexandria, the cosmopolitan city was choosing a home of learning and a unique center of brilliant intellectual life, where the Kemetics, the Greeks, the Hebrews, and cultures were nourished and were giving rise to a new civilization. In such environment, there was no other alternative but to establish a center of a Christian institution to enable the church to face the battle which waged by these powerful schools. So you got a little bit of everybody in the city. It's quite like New York today. A bunch of bitch ass niggas talking shit, fighting over each other over history. 2,000 years ago, same thing. But something was about to dominate the scene. You know that shit they don't like to talk about? So I keep hearing that the Bible is plagiarized from Kemet. Can somebody please tell me where Kemet talks about the destruction of Jerusalem? Anywhere? Anywhere? On any rock? On any pyramid? Anywhere? Can somebody explain to me why the Kemetics of the first century operating temples, not these fake Asar Aset temples based in America with their Kabbalah and some Indian Hinduism mixed with a little bit of Jewish mysticism, when they keep on producing these feminized Egyptian Americans? Where they do that at? So, being that Christianity began to blossom in the first century, Egypt, you know, that old city, Alexandria, the story goes that the apostle Mark was designated Egypt and led by the Holy Spirit, which was the word of God. He took a trip. He dipped with the chips and headed to Alexandria. Now, the story says he was very, very wise and sharp wit, and he recognized the need for establishing a theological school to explain the consolidate the Christian faith. The school was also planned to be a counterpart to the idolatry. You know, those idolatry schools that taught idolatry? That was the fate of the ancient Kemetic system. Idolatry, idols. No problem. They was getting busy with the idols for a minute till goddamn Alexander walked in and slapped the shit out of the Pharaoh and said, "This my shit." And without a fight, they gave it up. Unless y'all could find a war between the Greeks and the Kemetics. Do you got that war? Well, you can guarantee that those that turned into the Christian faith was about to bring a war against Rome. You know, Rome was worshiping idols as well. They had a system set and based just like Kemet. Y'all should go get that book, Stolen Legacy, George G.M. James, and really read it. Hand it to your favorite Kemetic. Ask him, do you still like this book? knowing that you taught the Greeks and the Greeks taught the Romans and the Romans taught the Americans and the Americans taught these Negroes today? That bullshit. And it's not to put down Kemet. It's just to deal with real life history, the mystery. Don't y'all just hate it? Don't you just hate that Bible? That Bible just come in and ruin all the idolatry fun, don't it? Just take that idolatry all out the party. Well, let's get down to the story of what they did with these schools. So, the adultery church cultures and philosophies of the time, such as Gnosticism, which was a great and danger facing the Christian teaching. Gnosticism, which means knowledge, saw that no salvation is possible except by knowledge and wisdom. That's that shit they teach today. They was running that program in the first century. Not a problem. We're about to deal with that with real life history. Now, if you're one of those who kind of enjoy the Kemetic perspective and you just can't wait to go 5,000 years back, well, we're not that far back right now. We're only 2,000 years back. And we're dealing with it. Let's give y'all a little visual. I got 2 or 3 computers popping because y'all keep donating to the program. So since y'all donating to at least those who help me, I went on ahead and set up some more computers so I can multitask on that ass. Show y'all a couple pictures. This, that thing today. If you ever visit Kemet, Egypt, Alexandria, you should visit the Cairo Museum. This is where Dr. Ben never went. Ask why Quasi fears to go. Jabari, the newest Satanist, he ain't going either. They can't stand it. Oh my God, they can't stand it. It is what it is, though. Remember, I didn't write this stuff. I'm not making it up either. And I'm not citing no sources. Just Google the Catechetical School of Alexandria. Matter of fact, there's a website. Go visit. History. Kemetic history. Ain't that a mystery? God damn. Them goddamn Christians. They all up in Kemet. These are not no Hebrew Israelites like the ISUPK want to teach you with that bull. It's not that. These are the authentic Kemetics. This is not a bunch of mulattoes knocked over the head and forgot all their information, and all of a sudden somebody brings them a plagiarized Bible. This ain't them either. This the real deal. Holyfield is the real deal. So let's get into it. So as we said, Gnosticism, which means knowledge. It believes that salvation is possible except by knowledge and wisdom. Therefore, if considered matters as something mean made by an unrighteous God, they even distinguish between God as the creator and as the sublime living being. Gnosticism considered human beings either spiritual or physical, and consequently, it refused Christ incarnation from the Virgin Mary, claiming that he seemed so as if he was bearing a weight of a body. For such reason, the apostle Mark established the Alexandria Theological School and handed it over to the management of Saint Justus. He was Kemetic. Yes, he was a Kemetic who has flipped the script. The schools began teaching the people who wanted to be baptized, whether they were Jews or Gentiles. Now, the word Gentile has several meanings. It one recognizes those of the Isles of the Gentiles. There would be some Romans, some Greeks, some Asians. Then it also is referring to foreigners outside of the 12 tribes. And once in a while in the Old Testament, Gentiles are referred to the Goy. Well, the Goy would be the foreigners. But then in some aspects, the Gentiles could even be a sect of Hebrew Israelites who are foreign to the practice of which they believe. The non-idolatry spiritual system, where nothing in the universe is given power of the Almighty. It just don't work that way. Now, even when ancient Kemet, for a brief moment, practiced the one God, it wasn't to the Bible God. It was still to a sun God. Almond Ra. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So let's get into the development of the churches. They were a Christian-based school, and it started as a Catechetical school where candidates were admitted to learn the Christian faith and some biblical studies to be qualified for baptism and admission into everlasting life and the abundance of life and knowledge of the Most High. This is not Kemetic teaching going on. So, admittance was open for all people, regardless of their religion, their culture, their age, or their background. You could be a straight up thug. You could be a freak of the week. You could be as young as 5, old as 75, and still you could get in this school. Boy. By the 2nd century, it became quite influential on the church life, as can be seen from the following. It was able to satisfy the thirst of Alexandria's Christian religion knowledge, encourage higher studies, and create research work in a variety of fields. It gave birth to a numerous spiritual and well-acquainted church leaders along the years. Many of them deserve to sit on the throne of St. Mark. Through its missionary zeal, it was able to win more souls to Christianity from Egypt and abroad. In a true immencio spirit, it attracted students from the other nations, many of whom became leaders and bishops in their churches. It established common awareness and the importance of education as a basic element in the religious structure. Consequently, every church in Egypt benefited from it, one way or the other. The School of Alexandria contributed to the world the first systematic theological studies, using philosophy as a weapon for maneuvering with the pagan philosophers. Now, the pagan philosophers, this word is attributed to those that do idol worshiping, divinations, and the likes. Mind you, the school did not bar those people from attending. It did not scrutinize them or look down on them because they grew up in a different system like these negroloids do today. It didn't do that. What it did do is it brought in a need to benefit the population, and it went against the Roman authorities of the day. Absolutely. The church was not funded by a 501c3 tax benefit from the Roman government. They wasn't working with the Romans like that. This is in Alexandria, 2nd century now. Started in the first, and we're moving into the 2nd century. Oh, white people ain't rocking Christianity just yet. You got a few conversions. You got a few starting to see the picture, starting to feel the heat and making the conversion, but very quietly and very small in numbers. As for white folks, it was more beneficial to run with the governmental perspective. It was much more beneficial. You had to be a gangster of sort to switch over to this Christianity. Even for the Kemetic, you had to risk your life to make this switch. But being that it was efficient, it was taking hold. Now, you can say it was a comic book. You can say there's no bones to find any of these prophets. You could say that it's plagiarized all you want. But you can't change this history. That you cannot do. You could be a PhD from any one of these white boys' colleges in America. You could push that Alice Bailey for 1,000 years. You could continue to fight against the system of Christianity. You could overlook what I'm saying all you want, but you can't change this history. The last era of the great and mighty empire of Kemet was the Coptic era. That you cannot change. You could try 1,000 times to lie, lie. But what you're not going to be able to do is avoid this fact. Kemetics built churches in Africa, while these fake Kemetics of the Reconstruction era of the 1980s and 90s propagate a white Satanist perspective of Aleister Crowley, Ayn Rand, Margaret Sanger, Alice Bailey, L. Ron Hubbard, Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, Ashwa Crazy, Phil Valentine, and the list goes on. Bobby Hemmett, Dilbert Blair, on and on and on. This is not taking a shot. This is saying what's real and what's not real. This ain't for the fake Kemetic Hebrew perspective of RBG faking it till you're making it. This is not that. You're not going to be able to debunk me. I come out of a think tank. You can't debunk us at all. And you sure not qualified. Trust and believe. I guarantee you, this new Kemetic on the scene, everybody talking about, this Jabari guy. I got to aim at you, Jabari. This is how it works. This is how it works. Just, Roll with it, homie. Don't trip. This is how it works. You're new on the scene, so you're going to get the driller team guillotine. Everybody get it when they show up. But you're not going to get around this. You're not greater than the Museum of Cairo when it comes to information and research. You ain't got that much research sitting in no PhD library in America. You don't got their information. You got a copy, a book here, a book there. But I ain't never going to hear you talk about Shisnuda. Remember, you came out of the 4th century Byzantine Roman Catholic system of the Bible. We're not there yet. We're only in the 2nd century. Your Catholic Roman system has not been invented yet. Not yet. But it will be coming. And they will plagiarize the Kemetic Pope system. Did you know that the Kemetics created this Pope system that we see today? Plagiarized from the Kemetics. Why they don't have an Amun-Ra system? How come there's no temple in Africa rocking the Amun-Ra? What's wrong? Why are they only doing it over here in America? What's wrong with y'all? Y'all need to get on back to that good part. Get on back. So, using this philosophy as a weapon, they would go into the community and debate long and hard hours in perspective, shutting them down and winning them over with their own game of philosophy, philosophizing. This is what authors with PhDs do. They don't do the work. They philosophize about the work. They don't build institutions. They work for institutions. They don't have knowledge in the STEM. They have knowledge in historical research and proper literature and reading and that type of thing. Just remember, PhDs have no accountability in institution building with literary skills. Very few do. What you will find is a master's degree in computer science, developing systems, building. You will find those with master degrees in technology, building space stations. You will find those with engineering, designing the latest pyramid structure based on the Fibonacci code. You'll find those who are brilliant in mathematics, breaking down the compounds of nature, multiplying the accumulated structure of a stem cell. Research. It is the STEM that will take you into the future efficiently and completely. So let's get back down 2,000 years to them Catechetical schools that these Kemetics don't want to talk about. With all their heart, they don't want to talk about it. They want to claim they was Hellenized, they was confused, they was crazy. They was crazy enough to shut down the temples and pick up a better tool and fight this white man with it. Now let's get it. What were the programs of the Catechetical schools? It would be grave error to limit the school's curriculum to theology. Its teaching was encyclopedic, presenting in the first place the whole series of profane science, and then rising to the moral and religious philosophies, and finally to Christian theology, set forth in the form of commentary on the sacred books. This encyclopedia conception of teaching was an Alexandria tradition, and it was also found in its pagan and Jewish schools. From Saint Clement trilogy, his 3 books, he was also a Kemetic. Saint Clement. He wrote 3 books, which broadly outlined the school's program at that time. We may conclude that 3 courses were available. Special courses to non-Christians, with introduced candidates to the principles of Christianity. A course in Christian morals, and an advanced course on the divine wisdom and the sufficient knowledge for the spiritual Christian. In this school, worship went side by side with study. Not like the Satanists do today, where they want to take the worship out of the school systems. See, the Satanists, they were studying Kemet before the Kemetics, Reconstructionists of New York City. I saw Assad temples and the rest of them temples that are not really temples. They're just 501c3 government agent groups, just like the churches that are 501c3, just like the camps that are 501c3, looking for a handout for government control of their systems. This ain't what was happening in the first century. Let me get you another picture to look at for a little while. Let's switch it up. Why not? Hold on a minute. Let me figure this out. I got some new stuff going on. Yep. I want y'all to see this one. Let's take a quick look. Now, this particular picture, we're not going to act like this is a real rendition of anything, but this is some artist's perspective. And this is supposed to be one of the popes of Kemet. I got it because he looked like a brother. Looked like a black man. Looked like one of these Kemetic reconstructionists. He didn't have that ponytail on the side of his head like Shaka though. And he wasn't bald-headed like Jabari. And he wasn't even light-skinned like Sarah Seti. Shit. He looked like Tazariak. With a little beard, a little afro. All right. Let's get it. So, the teachers and their students practice prayer, fasting, and a diverse way of asceticism. Oh shit, I found a word I can't pronounce. Asceticism. Woo. Let's get a spelling. Let's get a word thing on that. I got some tools over here, y'all. Let's take a look.
Asceticism.
That's the word, asceticism. 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 Y'all want to know the meaning of that word? Severe self-discipline and avoidance to all forms of indulgence, typically for religious reasons. That's keeping it real. In purity and integrity, their lives were exemplary. Celibacy was a recommended idea. Observed by many, celibacy was a recommended idea. observed by many. In addition to the continents in food and drink, they were also continent in earthly possessions. Thus, the school opened its gates to all people with their different religions, cultures, and social positions. The school also comprised of the two sexes without any discrimination, and it was characterized by a strong link between the theoretical studies and the life of faith and the true Christian love. Teachers and students used to exercise prayer and fasting to the extent that they ate only once a day at sunset. In this context, the Christian historian, as well as Philo the Jew, said they were all ascetics, uninterested in the world with all its worthless wrecks, and they cared only about God. They were united in pure love, enjoying the peace of the heavenly spirits among them. There was no rich and poor, for the rich gave their money to the poor, so that each of them would think of what makes one rich in God. Some of them fasted 3 and 5 running days, and their food and drink was only bread and water. On the other hand, the teachers of the school were known for their love of the life of chastity, their free choice of poverty, and giving away all property. The relations between teacher and student was deep and most personal, not confined by buildings or places. Indeed, the teachers with a living school. The School of Alexandria was the center of Christian teaching, particularly the Holy Bible and the Christian doctrine, in addition to the philosophy, logic, medicine, engineering, and music. The lecture followed the questions and answer techniques, the techniques of dialogue and discussion. The deans of the School of Alexandria, a quick glimpse at some of the names which directed the Christian schools of Alexandria will be a self-evident of the school and its rank among similar institutions. Among these names are Athenagoras, Panthenus, Clement, Origen, Heracles, Alexander, Dionysius, Perius, Theogoster, Peter, Mercurius, Didymus, the blind. The teachers of the school aimed at purifying the Greek philosophy in conformity with the Christian thought. This gave them an immense feature in addition to the alert intellectual openness on the East and the West. Thus, their works were translated into other languages such as Latin and Syrian. As a result, the Alexandria School managed to fill the Christians with religious knowledge and urge them to study and to conduct scientific research. Most of the school's deans in the early centuries were ordained patriots to the sees of Alexandria: Justus, the sixth pope; Immunus, the seventh pope; Marcianus, the eighth pope; Hercules, the 13th pope; Dionys, the 14th pope; Peter the First, the 17th pope; Achilles, the 18th pope. Popes were also selected from its graduates: Julian, the 11th pope; Alexandros, the 19th pope; Anthonus, the apostolic, the 20th pope; Timotheus, the 22nd pope; Cyril the First, the Great, the 24th pope; and Dioscorus, the 25th pope. This was, in fact, the secrets behind the power of the Church of Alexandria. In the first 5 centuries, it was the secret behind the reputation of her popes. For they were guardians of the orthodoxy. Their eruditions made them universal teachers whose words were the final attribution. In the present time, the ex-bishops of education and directors of the clerical schools was chosen to be Pope Shenouda III, the 117th Pope. An ongoing chain from Pope to Pope to Pope to Pope till I pop back with the Pope back. To this very day, there is a Pope in Egypt. From an unbroken chain of popes to this marvelous comic book they say it is, to these unrealistic PhD integrationist fake black power ass niggas out of New York pumping that bullshit constantly, one after another, old nigga to the young one. Same dumb shit over and over and over, getting thousands of views. People loving it. They love to hear you push that Satanism and blackface. Now watch. Pit Boss ain't gonna get a chime out of none of these niggas. Because the kingdom of God is within me. I was raised around some gangster shit. I wasn't even at the church on Sunday. What was I doing on Sunday? I was trying to get over a hangout from the club on Saturday. That's what I was doing it. I couldn't wake up on Sunday morning. I'm drunk off that hen dog. Hanging all night. Out there in Marina Del Rey at the Pizzazz. Late night with the Avenue of Stars going in. But that training would prepare me for a bunch of bullshitters. It's pretty deep how far back this goes. It's pretty deep. It's very little I can share. I done took a beating in my sleep trying to bring y'all this heat. We almost done though. We down to the last run. You can't change what they created. They like this shit. They like it. They don't want to give it up. But one thing they can't change is that the Kemetics built the first churches in Africa. Remind them of that. They don't know what to do. In the meantime, I'm going to fade out. Y'all enjoy the paganistic holiday of the 4th of July. Get you a pork hot link. Smack on you a barbecue rib. Eat you a vegan salad. Drink you a glass of wine. Knock down some Hennessy. Get you some orange juice. Maybe some moringa tea. Whatever make your boat float. And just remember, it's not what you put in your body that makes you ugly It's what comes out your body, out your mouth, and out your mind that makes you insane in the membrane. Keep it 100. Be good or be good at it.